Hi everyone and welcome to 5pointsblue.com. I'm Kelsey Charles, joined by Christy Scales and Nita Srikanth. And guys, let's talk a little bit about the Cowboys, how they came off a huge win in Philadelphia, but unfortunately this team did not come out unscathed. They sustained a couple injuries to the offensive line, specifically with Doug Free and Zach Martin, and they also, a guy behind the line who's been really important to this team, DeMarco Murray, broke his hand, had to get surgery actually. So going forward, we have a couple games left in the season. It's really important in this playoff push. Who are you most concerned about injury-wise between the three of those, or I guess the two segments?
All three. The DeMarco Murray injury, it's a fractured fourth metacarpal. That's the long bone, your left hand here, the ring finger, and it's similar to an injury that Emmitt Smith had back in 1999. I was on the sideline for that one. Emmitt missed one game. Also, Terrell Owens, the former Cowboy receiver, fractured fourth metacarpal on his right hand. He didn't miss a game, but that's because there was a bye week the following week. And what they did in those cases, for example, with Terrell, the equipment staff and the medical staff modified a glove and did some extra padding. But the thing about DeMarco is it's not, it's the functionality. That's what Coach Garrett talks about, is will he be able to fully perform his job, because you got to hold on to that ball, can't fumble, but also there's pass blocking. Imagine how painful that would be, trying to pass protect and block, and then also catching a ball. But I'm concerned about Doug Free, maybe a little more than Zach Martin, just because Doug Free wasn't able to finish the game in Philly. He missed the second half.
Right.
It's a 1A, 1B, right? It's
really,
the offensive line is really important to this team at this point, and with it being December, 2 games left, we're making a playoff push. Do you really want to start plugging in new offensive linemen who haven't really been playing at this point? And let's not forget, Romo's back injury is still existing, right. So we don't want to have some of that pressure. And with the Colts, they're going to bring the pressure, especially if we don't have Doug Free in there. Zach Martin, not as concerned about because he's protected and he's inside, but Doug Free, he has to be a little bit more athletic on his feet on the outside.
Well, something that's good too is that the guys that would be coming into their spots have already previously started. You have Jeremy Parnell, who had to start in place of Doug Free this year for 3 games when he was out with the broken foot. And last year, Mackenzie Bernardo was in for Brian Waters when the guard came down himself. So both of these two guys that would have to fill in offensive line have previous starting experience, which is good too. But also Joseph Randle, he hasn't been a guy that's gotten a ton of touches, but behind this offensive line, he's been able to be productive, which is something that I think you could potentially see in the future, more use of him. I don't know if DeMarco Murray's a guy you're guaranteed to have back next year, so he might be a guy that they'll be integrating more and more into the play.
Yeah. And Joseph Randle's averaging 7 yards a carry, so like you said, he hadn't had that many touches, but when he's had them, he's broken off some big runs. Lance Dunbar, we'll see a lot more of him. He's been more, I don't want to say just the third down back, because he's gotten some carries and not just catching the ball out of the backfield. But here's the thing, when you plug in these running backs, pass protection, right? And so when these young running backs come in, that's probably one of the hardest things as they transition into the league. And these guys have had more experience, but it's something that with Emmitt Smith, with DeMarco Murray, they were really underappreciated for what they did. And like you said, Nita, you got to protect Tony Romo. So, pass protection and things like that is something you have to keep in mind when you talk about a running back.
Right. Well, Christy, you bring up a good point. Guys like Lance Dunbar, Joseph Randle, we're getting a couple more touches in this previous game too. Cole Beasley, Terrence Williams were also important role players as well. And so looking forward to these next couple games. You've got 2 more left on the regular season schedule. Especially with these injuries, how important are these complementary players going to be looking ahead for the last couple games?
Oh, it's extremely important for Dez, for Murray if he plays, and Witten as well, because you can't double down on him. You can't. It forces the defense to stay honest, because you're going to get burned by Cole Beasley on 3rd and 11. You're going to get burned by Terrence Williams across the middle. So it's important for those guys because the defense has to stay honest. They can't play safety over the top. They can't put 2 on Witten across the middle on 3rd down. So it's good for the overall.
Yeah, that's right. If the Eagles are going to leave Bradley Fletcher one-on-one against Dez, we saw what was going to happen. Yeah. 3 touchdowns in that game. So, like Nita says, it's really a pick your poison against this Cowboys offense, because Tony Romo does have a lot of weapons, but then so does Andrew Luck with the Colts. So
the Cowboys offense obviously performed well this past Sunday, but their defense actually did a really nice job too. So, like I said, we have a couple of difficult teams. Well, Washington not so much, but the Cowboys have been able to follow them.
The Washington team that beat the Cowboys in October?
They shouldn't be difficult, exactly.
Okay. Oh, that one, yeah.
And the #1 passing offense in the Indianapolis Colts. So, guys, Talk to me about the importance of this defense in the last couple games, or is it really all on the offense to win the final two?
Oh no, it's on the defense as well. And I am so excited about watching Andrew Luck. It'll be my first time to see him live and from the sideline. I can't wait because he is so awesome. And he's got such great weapons with T.Y. Hilton. Reggie Wayne is a future Hall of Famer. Colby Fleener, what a matchup problem in the way that they move him around. He's the Colts tight end. But in talking about the defense and the success they had against the Eagles, they got to Sanchez 4 times, sacked him, harassed him other times, a couple of interceptions, huge forced fumble on the Brent Selleck, the turnover there. So if they don't get some pressure on Andrew Luck, oh my gosh, it's going to be a long day. He has so many weapons and is such a great quarterback that I'm just really interested to see if they're going to do specific matchups. Are they going to have Orlando Scandrick follow T.Y. Hilton around, or will they have Brandon Carr matched up on Reggie Wayne? Obviously, none of the coaches or players are going to give anything away this week, but that's something that I'll be watching from the sideline Sunday.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a difference in tone this year compared to the past, where beginning of the previous seasons, it was the pass rush was really strong at the beginning of the season, then it sort of died down towards the end. But now, this year it was, well, where was the pass rush? It was non-existent at the beginning of the season, but now it's, okay, it's there. So it bodes well for this team heading into a playoff push and hopefully a Super Bowl push as well.
Yeah, so obviously, like Christy, like you said, the Cowboys were able to get DeMarco Sanchez 4 times, sack him 4 times. And I think a lot of that was due to this Cowboys secondary, who has been struggling, but they really did a great job of covering Philadelphia's receivers, which is going to be, like you said, super important in this game because the Colts have multiple dangerous offensive weapons. So
there's a difference between covering for 6 seconds and 3 seconds. So
there is.
Get that pressure.
So hopefully they step up as well as this Cowboys offense too. But that's what we've got time for you guys this week. Thank you so much for joining us. Stay up to date with all the latest with the team and around Valley Ranch on 5pointsblue.com, and we will see you guys next time.